My boyfriend's heroic rescue landed him in the hospital. He asked me to stay and take care of him. I refused. He said his conscience was clear, that he was completely devoted to me. I didn't believe him. Eventually, I just broke up with him. I won't walk the rest of this road with you. I can't be a doormat. My mother didn't bring me into this world for this. At dusk, in the hospital corridor, the sound of my high heels striking the floor was sharp and decisive. When I got the news of my boyfriend's car accident, I immediately dropped my work and rushed back. But on the high-speed train, I read the local news. The headline was stark. As an out-of-control car hurtled forward, he chose to save another's life over his own. The comments section was filled with praise, calling him a hero who deserved an award. The accompanying photo showed my boyfriend, Leo, on a stretcher, his condition unknown. Standing beside him, holding his hand with a face full of worry, was our colleague and my senior from university, Serena. She was the one he had saved. Inside the speeding train, my frantic mood suddenly calmed. My tense body relaxed, and my mind began to work. Leo's behavior was interesting. He was too heroic. Knowing his character, I didn't believe for a second he'd risk his life out of pure altruism. It was either a selfish motive or they were having an affair. There was no other explanation. Speaking of Serena, she was quite a character herself. After graduating with top honors, she joined a major corporation, bounced around for a few years, and then ended up at our small firm. The company was co-founded by Leo and me, the sole surviving venture from our university's entrepreneurship program. We were in foreign trade, primarily selling products through live streams on the international version of TikTok. Leveraging our shared fluency in Spanish, we'd had a good run these past few years, but the hardships had been countless. When I found the hospital room, Leo was alone, staring blankly at the ceiling. Hearing my footsteps, he looked towards the door, and our eyes met. "How is it? Are you badly hurt?" I asked. Leo's expression was one of relief, as if my arrival was all he'd been waiting for. "Fractured femur. We'll know more after tomorrow's tests." I nodded, asked no more questions, found a chair, and poured myself a glass of water. Downing the large glass felt refreshing. Leo looked guilty. "I'm causing you trouble again." "It's fine," I said lightly. "Where's your mom?" Leo's voice was soft. "The doctor wanted to speak with her." I nodded, then asked, "And Serena? Why isn't she here?" At her name, Leo's brow furrowed slightly. "She was shaken up. She went home." I let out a scoff. Leo looked at me, slightly stunned. My face was a mask of irony. What did her family have to say? Leo's frown deepened. What could they say? It was my duty to save her. I can't expect a reward, can I? I casually tucked in his blanket, feigning indifference. You not wanting a reward and them not being grateful are two different things. Leo was growing impatient. Of course. They were incredibly thankful. Anything tangible? I pressed. Besides words. Was there anything else? Why don't you just ask how much money they're planning to give me? Leo's voice was tinged with anger and sarcasm. You've been beating around the bush for so long. I nodded. So, what are they planning to offer as material compensation? Or as a token of their gratitude? Isla, you're really something else. Leo was indignant. You get here and all you care about is money, not my condition. You think I wouldn't have saved her if there was no money involved? I shot to my feet. Leo, I already asked your mother about your injuries on my way here, and I confirmed them with you the moment I walked in. If I'm not allowed to talk about compensation, then let me ask you, who's going to cover the medical and nursing fees? I pointed to his leg, wrapped in gauze and suspended in the air. Leo's face turned red, his breathing quickening. You're not planning to take care of me. Are you kidding me? My voice grew sharp. You're out of commission at the company. If I'm here taking care of you, do you want the company to go bankrupt too? He wanted me to juggle both, but I wasn't about to let him have his way. Leo slumped back onto the bed, defeated. Fine. I'll have my mom stay with me. I nodded. Then I'll head back. I only got 4 hours of sleep last night and spent the whole day arguing with a client. My head is pounding. Hearing this, Leo's eyes snapped open, and he stared at me with disbelief. Just as I was about to leave, he asked, Isla, are you angry? I stopped and turned to him. Not at all. As I reached the door, I ran into Leo's mother rushing back. Seeing me was like seeing a savior. Isla, where are you going? I replied politely. Auntie, I'm exhausted. As long as Leo's okay. I'm going home to get some sleep. Leo's mom looked troubled. Isla, the doctor said Leo might have some internal organ damage and needs to be watched closely tonight. Could you stay and help me? I'm scared. I smiled brightly. Auntie, Serena is practically family. She knows us both well. It would be most appropriate for her to do this. From behind me, Leo's voice erupted in fury. Mom, let her go. I don't need her. His mother got angry too. She pushed past me and yelled at Leo. Fine. Let them all go. You can just work this old woman to the bone. You're the hero. You're so great. You've always got someone to fall back on. With that, she broke down, sobbing. Leo looked at me helplessly, at a loss. I slept dreamlessly, a rare good night's sleep. When I arrived at the office in the morning, my desk was just as I'd left it before my business trip, piled high with ledgers. With things on my mind, I didn't bother checking on business progress and instead opened the books. TS Group was looking to acquire us, and the terms were nearly finalized. They offered 2 acquisition plans. First, a 4-fold premium on our shares, and we walk away with cash. Second, convert our shares into TS corporate stock and wait for the IPO. The potential premium would be immeasurable. 10, 20, even 100 times. Anything was possible. The second option had a major drawback. As small, independent shareholders, we could only hold TS stock indirectly through an investment company, and that company would be controlled by TS's head, Marcus Thorne. The complexities and risks were immense. One wrong step, and we'd lose all control. Who doesn't dream of getting rich overnight? But you have to have the luck for it. I looked at the company's equity register. Isla Reed. Investment amount $150,000. 49% stake. My heart stirred. I opened the ledgers and examined them, entry by entry. The first $50,000 took me about 3 years to pay in. My slightly rough fingers traced the numbers, representing so much blood and tears. I trembled, treating the ledger with care and reverence. My parents had disapproved of my relationship with Leo, saying he had no foundation and was too ambitious. When they heard I was starting a business with him, they were so angry they threatened to disown me. But when it came to love, pressure was never an issue. Leo had graduated 2 years before me and had already started the company, even securing some government grants. He discussed it with me. Isla, the company still needs startup capital. Don't join me yet. Go work for a big company and use your salary to buy in. I'll reserve the shares for you. You just need to make the capital contributions on time. What did I say back then? I looked at him, my eyes shining, and nodded emphatically. As a recent graduate in a high-demand field, foreign languages, I was offered a starting salary of $1,500 a month. According to Leo's plan, I would invest about $15,000 a year, reaching $50,000 in 3 years. Any year. And bonuses were to go to him as well. While I lived on $200 a month in his rented apartment, he was meticulous with his calculations. One day he even said, Isla, you're actually getting a good deal. At least I'm not making you pay rent. I thought he was joking and didn't argue. My family was local. If it weren't for him, I could have lived with my parents until I got married. But he brought it up several more times, and I slowly realized he was serious. Investing my salary was easier said than done. My family was well off, and my university allowance was $600 a month. I was used to spending freely. Living on just $200 was an extreme challenge. At first, I only bought discounted food at the supermarket and out of season clothes at the mall. But it wasn't enough. Discounts couldn't solve my problem. After 2 months of failure, Leo's reminder made me realize the issue. On a $200 budget, I shouldn't be going to supermarkets or malls at all. The place I should be going was the local market, and the money I shouldn't be spending was on clothes. So, in my first year after graduation, while my friends were enjoying their financial freedom and buying little trinkets, I was going against the grain, pinching every penny, not even buying a cup of bubble tea. A common sight was me, after a long day at work and a crowded commute on the subway and bus, dragging my exhausted body to the market to buy groceries and cook dinner. Often, by the time 2 dishes were on the table, it was nearly 9 p.m. After eating, I would just collapse into a chair. Of course, Leo didn't leave all the housework to me. Our relationship was strong then, and we would playfully fight over chores. This made me overlook many things. For instance, seeing my standard of living plummet, seeing me agonize over small expenses with a flushed face. Leo never offered a word of comfort. Like, honey, don't be so hard on yourself. Just do your best. Never. He never said anything to shoulder the burden with me. He acted as if he didn't see it, never mentioning it, as if it was my natural duty. Yes, as a shareholder, I had an obligation to contribute capital, but as a girlfriend, some things don't bear close examination. The truth is terrifying. It's always been hard to go from luxury to frugality. My journey of cutting back was just beginning, and the nightmare was far from over. It only intensified. I went from scrimping on food and clothes to being afraid of getting sick. When I did get sick, I couldn't afford expensive medicine. I didn't even dare to ask the price of fruit at the market. It was too extravagant. Over time, I learned to buy cheap fruit, boil it with sugar, and eat it like canned fruit. The first taste, accustomed to poverty as I was, would elicit a sigh of satisfaction. But life wasn't done with me. The flu was rampant, and I caught it several times. The first time, I didn't think much of it until the symptoms hit hard. Every muscle, every bone ached as if it were splitting apart. A high fever made my eyes burn, and my head was foggy. In a moment of clarity, I called Leo and asked him to take me to the hospital. Leo rushed back from the office, helped me sit up, and handed me water and pills. I mumbled, "What medicine is this?" Leo was calm, his voice unwavering. "Just a regular cold medicine." I asked a colleague. He said to treat it like a cold. I took the medicine, but my condition didn't improve. I didn't press to go to the hospital again and endured 3 days of torture before slowly getting better. I was still at the big corporation then. A colleague, hearing about my severe flu symptoms, chided me. "Didn't you hear? If you take Tamiflu within 24 hours of getting the flu, you can avoid severe symptoms." I had vaguely heard of it, but at its peak, a box of Tamiflu cost over $20. I didn't have any at home, and Leo hadn't bought it for me. I was annoyed, for the first time feeling that our shared dedication to saving money was not something to be proud of. The second time I got the flu, I wasn't so naive. I didn't want to pay for the medicine, but I could get it from someone else. A colleague from a wealthy family had some. I used the excuse of a sudden onset of illness and not having time to buy medicine to get 3 pills from her. That's how I got through it the second time. When it was Leo's turn, the big man was completely laid out. He grabbed my hand and said, "Isla, I had no idea this illness was so debilitating." Then he added, "I think you took Tamiflu last time. Can I have some too?" I turned to him, confused. So he didn't know about Tamiflu. Why hadn't he bought it for me the first time I was sick? As I was thinking, Leo, as if reading my mind, muttered, "It was because you suffered so much the first time that I asked a friend at a pharmacy. He said Tamiflu works." This explanation felt like a poor attempt at a cover-up. I couldn't accept it. I wasn't a fool in love. It was my first relationship, and I was fully invested. But I wasn't stupid. It was highly likely he knew about the medicine all along but watched me suffer because he was too cheap to buy it. Now that he couldn't handle it himself, he had to bring it up, while trying to hide his selfish motives. But if we were going to be frugal, we would do it together. I told him I had gotten the medicine from a friend. Only 3 pills, and they were all gone. He didn't dare ask me to buy more and had to tough it out. He groaned in pain all through the night, unable to sleep. But I pretended not to notice. Part of it was spite. Part of it was a cold heart. The incident should have ended there. A private suffering. But there was more to the story. Recently, having some free time, I decided to bring Leo a homemade lunch. I went straight to the break room to heat it up and overheard Serena on the phone. "The flu. I have medicine here. You don't have to go home. Just come up to my office now." Then I heard her say, "Our Mr. Shin bought some and left it with me for the colleagues. But everyone just had it. So no one needs it right now. I'm the only one who hasn't had it. So I'll just say I took it as a preventative measure. Anyway, you don't have to go all the way home. Just come to my office." And so, the medicine that the cheapskate Leo had finally coughed up money for ended up with Serena's friend. And I never touched a single pill. It was unsettling, but not a huge deal. All my energy was focused on work and saving money. I couldn't be bothered with much else. I don't remember when I learned to cook, when the cooking fumes brought tears to my eyes, blurring the line between the hardship of reality and the sting of the smoke. Once, I ran into a high school classmate on the street. She hesitated before calling my name, her voice filled with disbelief. Isla, you look so drab. I was mortified. I didn't know what I was holding on for, what the point of it all was. Later, I came to terms with it. You can't explain summer to a frozen insect. I was building a business, walking a path of 1,000 hardships. I couldn't compare my material possessions to others. I needed the courage to keep climbing. Even if not for Leo, I had to do it for myself. Just as I found my peace, a blow came out of nowhere. After 2.5 years of relentless effort, I had finally fulfilled my capital contribution ahead of schedule. I treated my colleagues to coffee. The finance lady showed me the tax stamp for my capital contribution and congratulated me. By then, Serena had also joined the company, which I was happy about at the time. It was the end of the year, and dividends were being paid out. With this double joy, I was ecstatic and eager to share the news with Leo. But as I sat down across from him, his expression was grim. He glanced at me several times, his eyes dark, hesitating to speak. I teased him. What's wrong, Mr. Boss? Don't want to pay out the dividends. I knew he would. As long as he wanted his share, he had to give me mine. Leo's eyes finally met mine, then darted away. After a moment of composing himself, he finally spoke. I wondered why he was being so hesitant and watched him curiously. He looked directly at me, as if to show his sincerity, and said, Isla, I'm planning to give Serena some gifted shares. She's very capable and has saved us a lot of money with the suppliers. It's fair to call it a technical contribution. As he spoke, he pushed a file towards me. Look, she can get the same goods for much cheaper than we can. Her family has connections. Giving her shares is a good investment for us. I didn't look at the file. I had been in this business for 3 years, and my gut told me this was wrong. I stared at Leo, my gaze so intense it felt like it could burn a hole through him. Leo finally became flustered and angry. Isla, I'm talking to you nicely. What's with the attitude? Before this, I had been so happy, my heart full of warmth and nourishment, ready to share it with him. But his words were a sudden blow. Half of that warmth spilled out, staining everything, making the rest undrinkable. I let out a cold laugh. You, of all people, know how I've spent the last 3 years. You want me to just hand over the shares I've earned through blood, sweat, and tears? I will never agree. You. Leo looked up at me, his eyes bloodshot, his hair messy, looking utterly defeated. He was in a bind. He wanted to take back his proposal, but the words were already out. So he pressed on. He slammed the file towards me. Stop being hysterical and read the file first. I was familiar with the business and read through it quickly. I let out another cold laugh, the chill deepening. This doesn't make sense. Your argument is invalid. Leo's gaze was cold and dark. Fine. If you don't agree, then forget it. I held a 49% stake, which didn't allow me to make major company decisions. But according to the law and our company's articles, admitting a new shareholder required a 2/3 majority vote. Without my approval, no one was getting in. I wondered, if the law didn't have this provision, if I had no right to refuse, would Leo have forced it through? Suddenly, I had no confidence. That was the beginning of the real rift between us. After that proposal, things were never the same. We were just barely hanging on. I turned to leave. As I reached the door, Leo called out to me, his tone exasperated. Isla, don't be so angry. I was just thinking about the business. If I did something wrong, just point it out. Don't overthink it. I scoffed internally. I was overthinking it. If anything, I hadn't been thinking enough. I ignored him and walked out. A gust of cold wind blew in, rustling the papers on his desk. I slammed the door shut behind me. About 6 months later, Serena approached me herself. We met for coffee. She was agitated. Isla, I never asked for gifted shares. That was Leo's idea. He didn't discuss it with me. He wanted to talk to you first before telling me. I lowered my eyes. Silent. She continued. My family has money. I can afford to invest. Isla, I'll buy in with my own money. I don't want charity. I looked up into her eyes. Did you and Leo discuss this before you came to me? She faltered for a second, then said unnaturally, "We did. But, ultimately, it's up to you." I nodded. "How much are you looking to invest?" Seeing the conversation was back on track, Serena calmed down. "The same as you both. Whatever you put in, I'll put in. We'll split the shares equally, with Leo having a slightly larger stake to give him more say in the company." I smiled. A dark, chilling smile. At the time, I didn't know the term, equity premium, but I knew, intuitively, that the price of the shares couldn't be the same as it was 3 years ago. What was the situation 3 years ago? We were in a swamp, surrounded by thorns, with an uncertain future. And now, we had paid out dividends last year, and business was still looking good. So how could the price be the same? I pulled Serena along with me to Leo's office. When the three of us were seated, they both looked at me with an air of shared anticipation. I smiled at the two of them, thinking how the hardships of the world and the darkness of the human heart were so vividly displayed in them. But I was not the same person I was 4 years ago. The hardships had not been for nothing. I spoke in a soft, gentle tone. "Leo, it's great that Serena is willing to join us. You should sell her your shares." Hearing this, Leo visibly relaxed, and I knew he was pleased. He was usually so calm and composed, but his joy was so overwhelming that I could see it in the corners of his eyes. I reminded him, "I'm not selling my shares, Leo. You can sell as much of your stake as you want. I won't interfere." As soon as the words left my mouth, both their expressions changed. Leo's eyes turned red, and he snapped at me. "Isla, I should never have let you invest in the first place." I retorted, "That's not what you said when you needed me. Leo, all you care about is money. You're heartless and unjust." I scoffed. "And you can't force me to sell." The meeting ended on a sour note. The situation remained at a stalemate until TS Group's acquisition offer put it on the back burner. After TS Group made their offer, with $600,000 practically in hand, Leo came to me, humbled. "Isla, I was wrong. I lack strategic vision. Selling the shares to Serena at their original price would have been a huge loss." This was a blatant attempt to whitewash his actions. I was unmoved, seeing he hadn't achieved his goal. Leo had to show more sincerity. His gaze was gentle, his attitude earnest. His handsome features made his words particularly moving. "Isla, I'm not stupid. The people who have gone through hardship with me have hearts of crystal. I will cherish you." His humility gave our precarious relationship another breath of life. Until now, with his heroic rescue, I was jolted awake. Our relationship, flickering like a candle in the wind, should have been extinguished long ago. I had just been too busy scrambling to survive to sort it all out. Before confronting Leo, I first met with Marcus Thorne, the head of TS Group, to settle the acquisition of my shares. Compared to money, that scoundrel Leo was nothing. I was eager to sign the documents. This acquisition was a timely solution to my predicament. Once the contract was signed, I felt as if half the bad luck clinging to me had dissipated. I was anxious to leave, but Marcus still had something to say. He asked me, "What are Mr. Chin's plans for his shares?" I replied, "I don't know." He raised an eyebrow in surprise. I didn't want to beat around the bush. Leo wasn't worth my time, so I answered frankly, "I'm not sure what he's thinking. We'll be breaking up soon. I'll probably deal with it tomorrow." Marcus smiled with interest. "Are you planning to cash out on him as well?" I shook my head. "He's too clever for that. I'm just cutting my losses." Marcus added, "I have a position for you at the company, Miss Reed. It's in your field. I believe you'll be interested." I was caught off guard and a bit stunned. I could only tentatively agree. "I'll think about it. Thank you for the offer." Out of contempt for Leo, I didn't rush to see him. The dust had settled. The exact words no longer mattered. It wasn't until 5 days later, when Serena posted a picture from Leo's hospital room on her social media, that I acted. In the warm sunlight, she was peeling an apple, the room quiet. The photo was taken by Leo and had made its way to Serena's feed. I took the opportunity to go over. Leo and Serena were having a peaceful moment, whispering softly and intimately. An apple was peeled, the skin rewrapped around it perfectly, a symbol of a wish come true. My arrival shattered their idyllic atmosphere. Leo's body visibly stiffened. His expression was first surprise, then a flicker of joy. But I addressed Serena directly. "Serena, you finally decided to show up." It wasn't easy. After years of being spoiled by Leo, Serena was fearless. She retorted, Isla, your tone is a bit harsh. It's not that I didn't want to come. I was just terrified. I just wanted to stay home. Leo quickly jumped to her defense, scolding me. Isla, don't go too far. I let out a series of cold laughs. So, you're feeling better now. In that case, you can take over Leo's care from here on out. My voice wasn't quiet. Leo's mother, who had been napping on the adjacent bed, woke up. She got up, her gaze fixed on Serena. Serena's face flushed, and she waved her hands in confusion, tears welling up in her eyes. Leo quickly came to her rescue. Isla, are you completely ignoring everything I say now? I fell silent, just staring at him, my gaze like a razor's edge, almost piercing through his facade. He became flustered again and tried to grab my hand. Isla. I took a step back and smiled mockingly. I gave you my heart, and you trampled on it. You gave your heart to her, and she trampled on it. Leo. People who trample on others' hearts never have good endings. I'll be waiting for that day. Sooner or later. I added. Leo, I won't walk the rest of this road with you. I can't be a doormat. My mother didn't bring me into this world for this. With that, I turned and left, ignoring Leo's shouts, Serena's sobs, and Leo's mother's calls from behind me. I had to be the one to initiate the breakup, but the fault couldn't be mine. After all the hardship I had endured, I wasn't going to suffer in silence. A month later, the money from the share acquisition finally arrived. Almost simultaneously, I heard that Leo had chosen to join the investment company, indirectly holding TS stock. It was just like him. Go big or go home. To each their own. I called my parents to reconcile. Then I picked a day to celebrate with friends. Because 2 friends had to go on a sudden business trip, we had to change the time and place at the last minute, which meant we ended up in the main dining area. But the atmosphere at our table was great. Friend A said, to Isla's next step in her career and to her growing fortune. Friend B said, did you guys know? Our sister's man is a true gem. He even made the news for his bravery. Our girl is so lucky to have such a reliable boyfriend. I laughed so hard I spat out a mouthful of wine, causing a stir and even drawing stares from the next table. I casually wiped the wine from my mouth, unfazed. You've got to be kidding me. A hero. Leo. He's terrible to his employees. A female colleague got pregnant, and, because she took too much leave, he was trying to figure out how to fire her. Him. A hero. Impossible. He was just after the money. The woman he saved is a colleague of ours. Leo's sweetheart. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the group. Someone finally asked, Isla, did he cheat on you? I snapped. Don't even get me started. He had his heart set on someone else, but dragged me into his business venture. How pathetic am I? Just as I was speaking, someone from the next table stood up. It was Leo. Their table was large and crowded. I hadn't even noticed him. Seeing him about to approach, an idea struck me. The world is small. I might as well use this opportunity to tarnish his reputation a little more. I raised my glass and walked towards him, blocking his path. I played up my tipsiness, my voice a mix of amusement and scorn in front of his friends. Well, if it isn't our great hero. Out of the hospital. Did you get your award for bravery yet? Leo hissed. Isla, let's part on good terms. Why are you bad-mouthing me behind my back? I feigned drunkenness. Bad-mouthing. Am I not telling the truth? A fool like me couldn't possibly have any ill intentions. Not like you, who calculated everything down to the bone, making me fund your business only to try and give my shares away. You've done every bad deed imaginable and won't let anyone talk about it. Leo's eyes turned red. That's enough. Isla, if you keep talking nonsense, don't blame me for getting rough. You're going to hit me. After all the years I spent suffering with you. As we were arguing, a man stood up. It was Marcus Thorne. He walked towards me slowly, his voice firm. Miss Reed is drunk. I'll take her home. The party was over. My goal of embarrassing Leo was achieved. I went along with it and left with Marcus. Marcus hadn't been drinking. I got into his car, and we sped off. Have you thought about my offer to work at TS? I sat up straight, mostly sober now. Working there was a possibility. After reconciling with my parents, they advised me to rest and not start another business for a while. And I was planning to buy an apartment in this city, so I was out of cash. The next logical step was to work at TS. I composed myself and said respectfully, "Thank you for the offer, Mr. Thorne. When can I start?" He glanced at me, slightly surprised. "Anytime." "Is Leo also there?" He looked at me, his tone casual. "Work is work. Don't be melodramatic." I nodded, taking his point. His tone became more sincere. "I got you out of there to give you an out. That table was full of company executives. If the argument had continued, it wouldn't have looked good for you either. It's best to quit while you're ahead." He had seen it all and was still willing to help me. I looked at him with a newfound respect. The onboarding process was smooth. But where there are people, there is politics. Leo and I were competing for the department head position, and our current supervisor was a vice president named Lee. He called me into his office. "Your proposal is very similar to Leo's, and he submitted his first. Can you explain?" The sudden accusation stunned me into silence. VP Lee continued. "His proposal is more detailed, and his budget for promotional expenses is lower. I'm going to sweep this under the rug. You should withdraw your proposal and create a new one." I licked my dry lips. This was not going to be easy to resolve. This proposal was the culmination of years of ideas. My heart and soul poured into it, no matter how much time I was given. I couldn't create anything better. I shook my head. They stole my proposal. My computer password is one I use frequently, and Leo could have guessed it. This proposal is my life's work. The document is just a framework. Many of the details are in my head. If you give it to Leo, the company will suffer. VP Lee was impatient. "Are you just making empty claims? Who would want to steal your work? I'm giving you a chance to redo it, and you're here making accusations. You're in the wrong no matter how you look at it." I shook my head again. My fundamental interests were at stake. I couldn't back down. As I said, it's not in the company's best interest to smooth this over. The best option is to give the proposal to its rightful owner. You can get a computer engineer to check the hard drives on both our computers and see which file was created first. VP Lee laughed in exasperation. "Where am I supposed to find someone like that? And on what grounds?" "Because you couldn't keep your own password safe." I stood up. With $600,000 in the bank, I felt a rare surge of confidence. "I'm not letting this go." I left the office to think of a plan. As I walked, my mind was in a turmoil. What plan? All I wanted was to find Leo and tear him apart, in front of the entire company. If I was going down, he was coming with me. As the saying goes, the biggest mistake at work is to make an enemy of a colleague. I was willing to sacrifice 1,000 to wound him by 800. I was storming off to confront Leo, my mind racing with insults. A group of people passed me. I even bumped into one of them without noticing. It wasn't until the person stopped a few feet away, with the group behind him also halting, that I turned to look. It was Marcus again. I was in no mood to greet him, my breathing ragged. He walked up to me and looked at my face. "What's wrong?" I hesitated. If I told him the truth, it would be going over my boss's head. If I planned to stay at the company, it would make my work relationships difficult. But if I let it go, Leo would get away with it. I made my decision. "Let's talk in your office." The issue was resolved smoothly. The company quickly uncovered the truth, and Marcus called me in again. VP Lee only has his job because of his connections. I can't do much about him. The company is transitioning from a family business, so this is part of the growing pains. But he won't be in charge of your department anymore. I nodded. It wasn't my place to comment. Marcus continued. "As for Leo, Serena took the fall for him. I can only fire her. I hope you can understand." Serena had also joined the company as Leo's assistant. It was a long game, and cutting off one of his arms was a good start. As I was accepting the company's decision, there was a commotion at the door. The CEO's office door was pushed open, and Serena entered, her eyes filled with tears. She looked pitiful and delicate. The secretary outside was helpless. Serena wiped her tears. Not a hint of guilt on her face, but a touch of defiance. "Mr. Thorne, Leo is the most capable person. Isla was always his second in command. I don't understand why the company is making them compete for the position." She had said all this before, repeating it now in front of Marcus. I thought I understood, looking at her, with her blouse unbuttoned low and her hair artfully disheveled. I had a revelation. She was using this as an opportunity to flirt with him. It made sense. Marcus was in his 30s and unmarried. It wasn't surprising that Serena would be interested. But did Leo know about this? He was probably being played for a fool. I almost laughed. All that talk, risking his life for her. And he was just a backup plan. But I wasn't about to give Serena a stage for her performance. Are you done? If you're done, you can leave. Then I turned and left first. Behind me, I heard Marcus's cold voice. What are you waiting for? For me to call security. Humiliated, Serena rushed past me and out of the office. I followed her, letting out a soft laugh, which made her walk even faster. After Serena left, Leo found a new assistant. To my surprise, it was my former assistant, Anna. I was busy with work and had forgotten about lunch. I took a stack of files to Leo's office and found the two of them eating together. I heard Leo say irritably, "How many times have I told you to remove the peppercorns from the stir fry? Look, now my mouth is full of them. I have to spit out the meat too." Anna apologized profusely and quickly tried to clean up the meat he had spit out with a tissue. Leo added, "Don't throw it in the trash can. It will smell." Anna got up to take it to the restroom. She suddenly saw me standing at the door and froze. Unsure what to do, I dropped off the files, gave a few instructions, and left. Later, Anna found me. "Isla," she said, "is it really over between you and Leo?" I was comparing the files in my hand with the data on my computer and answered casually, "Yes." She was both nervous and defiant. "It's not stealing if it's abandoned, right?" I looked up at her. I had my reasons for giving him up. We worked together. So I'll give you a piece of advice. Be careful. "What reasons?" Anna said dismissively. "Serena is gone. And they're not in contact anymore. I think you were just being too demanding. Everyone has a one that got away. Can you say you don't?" That left me speechless. "Whatever makes you happy." The young woman shot up and left, her eyes red. She was certainly stubborn. To my surprise, Leo began to pursue me openly. The weather was beautiful. I was eating lunch in the park near the office, sitting on the edge of a flower bed. He approached and handed me a beautifully packaged lunchbox. I glanced at the label. It was from a famous high-end restaurant. This box must have cost a pretty penny. I didn't look up and continued eating my own lunch. My mom's cooking was getting better and better. He sat down beside me and began to unwrap the box as he spoke. "There have been too many misunderstandings between us. I wanted to wait until you calmed down to talk to you. But then you saw me with Anna. I was afraid if I didn't act now, it would be too late." I glanced at him, my eyes cold. Leo sighed heavily. "I told Serena your computer password back at the old company. There was a file that finance urgently needed, and we couldn't reach you. I didn't know she would steal your file later." That's the first thing. I did have different feelings for Serena. That's a fact. I was wrong. I admit it. I treated you badly, and I was completely wrong. I've thought about it since, but our feelings over the years weren't fake. I never deceived you. I was serious about marrying you. I looked at him, my eyes empty, my voice laced with disgust. "Get lost. You're ruining my appetite." Leo choked, took a deep breath, and continued. "You can't just write someone off completely. Even criminals can be reformed and become good people. When they get out of prison, they've paid their debt to society. Besides, who doesn't make mistakes?" He leaned closer. I could see the tears in his eyes. "I know I owe you so much for all these years. Tell me how I can make it up to you." "I'll do whatever you say." I took the lunchbox from him, and right in its packaging, I dumped all the beautifully arranged food into a plastic bag, the sound like pebbles clattering. My smile was cold. If you had given me this 3 years ago, I would have been grateful for the rest of my life. Now, no, thank you. Leo grabbed my wrist, his voice choked with emotion. "Honey, don't be angry. I will cut things off with Serena completely. There's nothing going on with Anna. Just give me one more chance. Watch my actions. Let me make it up to you." My smile deepened. "You think you can juggle all 3 of us? You're not that charming. Look at Mr. Thorne. He's a gentleman. You've got some nerve." I went on. "We were together for 6 years. Thanks to you. All I ever heard were your sweet words. And all I ever saw was your hypocrisy. At least have some self-respect." Leo shot to his feet, staring at me in disbelief. I tied up the garbage bag. "After we broke up, I finally stopped having to suffer with you. And I'm very happy. I'm not mad at you. You're not worth it. Are you leaving or not?" "If you're not, I am." He took the garbage bag and walked away. Defeated, I threw down my chopsticks. Having lost my appetite, I got up and left sullenly. As I was cleaning up, I noticed a familiar-looking figure on the other side of the flower bed, behind a low bush. Probably just a colleague I barely knew. Just as I finished packing up, a warm breeze carried a familiar men's cologne. Marcus. I moved to get a better look. It was him. He saw me too and greeted me with a smile. I lowered my head, thinking. I wondered how much of our conversation he had overheard. It didn't matter. He had already seen me and Leo at our worst. But I think I just mentioned him. How embarrassing. I covered my face with my hand, about to say, "I'll be going now. I won't disturb you." Before I could speak, Marcus let out a laugh. "I didn't know I had such a noble image in your mind. As long as you don't mind me comparing you to Leo," I said, mortified. For some reason, Leo started sending me flowers. I was walking towards the company building entrance when a delivery guy suddenly handed me a bouquet. I instinctively looked up and saw Leo standing across the street, smiling at me. I wasn't surprised, just creeped out. In our 6 years together, after the first year, he never sent me flowers. Not for Valentine's Day, not for my birthday. He just skipped them. I didn't even know the name of these roses. Romance was a distant memory. But the bouquet was beautiful. A variety I didn't recognize, looking both noble and elegant. I scoffed, threw the flowers to the ground, and stomped on them. The delicate petals were a mess under my feet. I picked up the most beautiful one and ground it under my heel. A beautiful flower, crushed into the dirt. Across the street, something glistened in Leo's eyes. Was he crying? I mocked him silently. 6 years of dreaming, and he still hasn't had enough. I'd have to be an idiot to continue suffering with him. The audacity. A video of me destroying the flowers circulated in the company group chat. Everyone posted laughing emojis. Even Marcus, who rarely participated, commented, "Huh, what a temper." I tossed my phone aside in annoyance. A while later, I received a message from Anna. "Leo wanted me to tell you he's given up. We're together now. Openly. You have nothing to say about that, right?" I replied. To put it nicely, it's a seamless transition. To put it bluntly, you two have been laying the groundwork for a while. But still, I respect your decision. And I hope you two are locked together forever. And in the future, please don't involve me in your affairs. The relationship you need to sort out isn't between me and Leo. Do you really think Serena is out of the picture? There's a type of scumbag who finds girls who like him to suffer with him because he can't bear to see the girl he actually likes go through hardship. If you're willing to throw yourself to the wolves, I have nothing more to say. Let's just go our separate ways. Anna suddenly became sincere again. Isla, do you remember my ex-boyfriend? He and his friends just wanted to have fun. They had no ambition and no money. I was so done with them. Leo is different. He's handsome. And he's willing to work hard and start a business. It's admirable. I'm the one who pursued him. No matter how much you try to discourage me, I'm staying with him. I had to admit, part of what Anna said was true. So, for the first time, I had nothing to say. Life is unpredictable. Since the financial crisis, the price of non-ferrous metals on the international futures market had been dropping, affecting TS's core business. The financial reports showed losses. The IPO plans were scrapped. Leo visibly declined. Rumors started that Marcus was also leaving. The rumors gradually became reality. The date of his departure was set. The day he left, the sky was overcast, looking like it was about to rain heavily. After my live stream, I looked out the window. Sure enough, the wind was strong, and the rain was starting to fall, scattering blossoms everywhere. There was a commotion in the hallway, the sound of many footsteps and voices. "Mr. Thorne is leaving. Let's see him off." I came back to my senses and left my office. There were too many people. I couldn't get a good spot. Seeing him off was out of the question. I went to a glass corridor that overlooked the staircase below, the only way out from the executive offices. At least I could watch him leave. There are always people who welcome you in, help you settle, and then have to leave themselves, wandering. Some people, you see them turn a corner, and they're gone for a lifetime. My eyes started to well up. Marcus, like any other employee, was carrying a box of personal belongings, walking quickly. Many people followed him, but he still looked alone. When he reached the staircase below me, he suddenly looked up, and our eyes met. I hadn't expected this. I quickly wiped my tears and tried to smile, to leave a good impression. But Marcus let out a soft laugh, his chest rising slightly. He didn't look at me again, just watched his feet as he walked. Soon, he disappeared into the wind and rain. The rumor was that the Thorne family had many grandchildren, and the shares were dispersed. Marcus had to rely on his own abilities to become CEO. But what had happened now? As a newcomer, I couldn't find out any more information. My and Leo's e-commerce department was dissolved. I was transferred to logistics, and Leo resigned. I was a minor player in the general affairs department for a short time before being seconded to the finance department. I temporarily took over the cashier position. It was a busy but mundane job, simple and repetitive. I considered resigning, but in my hesitation, I gradually realized that working in finance gave me a comprehensive view of the company's operations, which was incredibly helpful for management. I learned a lot. My previously chaotic management ideas began to take shape, like the branches of a tree, organized and logical. Gaining a holistic understanding of the company was a lesson I had been missing. I decided to stay. I had been with Leo for 6 years. We had mutual friends and shared the same social circles. It was impossible not to hear about him. I heard he had started another business, this time even more difficult than the last. He and Anna were even living in a basement, eating instant noodles every day. In the midst of the chaos, Anna had a miscarriage. Deep down, I had always wanted revenge, but I needed the right moment. We were on equal footing for now. I could only wait for an opportunity. I saw Anna again at a bar, where a good friend was treating. We talked about the past, present, and future. The conversation inevitably turned to Leo. I wanted to say I couldn't be bothered to talk about him anymore. The next time we met, it would be a fight to the death. One of my friends suddenly got excited and muttered, "Here she comes. Here she comes." She pulled me to look in a certain direction. The bar was dimly lit, but I could still see Anna over there, selling drinks. A male customer said something to her. Anna picked up a glass and downed it in one go. And so, several rows of beer on her tray were sold. A successful sale. I distinctly remembered she had just had a miscarriage a few days ago. The beer glasses were frosted over. She came to our table with another tray of beer and froze when she saw me. She didn't speak, just waited for our order. Everyone looked at me. I had no grudge against her. I told her to put the beer down, placed my hand on hers, and said softly, "Leave yourself a way out. You need to recover properly. You can't be drinking cold beer." She gently pushed my hand away. "Foreigners don't care about that stuff. It's not a big deal. You always overthink things. Did Leo tell you that?" I asked with a half smile. She flinched and walked away stubbornly. Everyone sighed. I finally understood my friend's intentions. They wanted me to see this, to get some satisfaction. But I felt like I was a joke too. As the year-end approached, the finance department was extremely busy. Rumors were flying that Marcus was coming back. The day of the company-wide meeting, our department was seated near the front. Marcus walked in, exchanged a few pleasantries, and everyone was very encouraged. The atmosphere was lively. He spoke for a bit more, his gaze sweeping over the crowd as a matter of routine. But it paused when it landed on me. Then he looked away and continued speaking calmly. After the morning meeting, I was called to the CEO's office as soon as I got back to my desk in the afternoon. I was the first employee he met with after his return. He kindly offered me a seat. He asked, "I thought you had left. I didn't expect you to stay and accept the new arrangement. What were you thinking?" I said, "Sir, to put it nicely, I wanted to repay a debt of gratitude. The honest truth is, I hadn't figured out my next move yet." Marcus shook his head. "You and Leo both have an adventurous spirit. I don't believe your honest truth. Leaders like to hear nice things." Elaborate. Since he put it that way, I told him everything. I did want to repay a debt. When the company acquired my shares, it was a lifeline. I was in a really tough spot back then. "You're too kind. We never intended to help you." "That's not how I see it," I said sincerely. "I have to thank the company. I've prepared a report. If you're interested in international TikTok live streaming in the future, I have some suggestions. I want to leave this behind so I can leave with a clear conscience." Marcus instinctively asked, "What kind of report?" I gave him a brief summary. "Right now, we're live streaming to a foreign audience from our home country. The advantage is being close to the source of goods, but the risks are high. It's a gray area. No one knows how the government will regulate it in the future. Getting our accounts banned is a real possibility. This model works for small companies. For a large corporation, it's better to set up a company in the target country, live stream from there, and have the procurement handled back home. 2 separate teams. Marcus then asked, "Who would go to Spain?" "You." I answered decisively. "It's a possibility. I'll think about it. Bring me the proposal." Then he added, "Let's exchange contact information." I set foot on Spanish soil once again. The last time I was here was as an exchange student for 2 years. It was where I met Leo. I threw myself into my work, buried in it from dawn till dusk. Marcus messaged me frequently. At first, it was about work, in meticulous detail. Then he started telling me to take care of myself. Then he started sharing his daily life with me. Gradually, I found myself sharing everything that was happening here with him, like chatting with an old friend. I told him I still wasn't used to the slow pace here. They have a legally mandated siesta from noon to 2:30 p.m. I couldn't find anyone, and people looked at me like I was a monster. Marcus replied, "You should take a nap too. When in Rome, do as the Romans do." I gritted my teeth and replied, "It was my idea to come to Spain. I don't want people to think I'm taking advantage of the situation for personal gain." He just laughed. In the spring, when the flowers were in bloom, I returned to the home country for a work report, and we made our relationship official. During a long holiday, he came to Spain to visit me, and our relationship deepened. During the day, I was his tour guide. He showered me with praise, saying I was a great guide and that he wanted to travel the world with me, listening to me talk forever. At night, in moments of passion, he would whisper, "Come back home with me. This long-distance thing is torture." His words stirred me. I traced his features with my hand, but I couldn't decide. A month later, he used work as an excuse to temporarily transfer me back. And then, he proposed. I said yes on the spot. Later, at a dinner with friends, I asked him quietly, "Isn't this a bit too fast?" His eyes sparkled with laughter. "Not at all. How else am I supposed to lock you down? You're a wild spirit." I scoffed. But a thought struck me. Was he trying to get me to move back permanently? I hesitated. "Do your parents approve?" He raised an eyebrow, teasing. "The in-laws have to meet the bride eventually." Everyone around us laughed. Then he reassured me. "Don't worry. It's all taken care of. Your husband is 36. You think I'd mess this up?" Yes. He was 36, and I was almost 28. It was time to settle down. The year he left the company, I had even gone on blind dates. In that market, age is a hard currency. Even though I was just humoring my parents, it still affected me. When my parents found out, they were, of course, happy for me. But after the happiness came a shadow of worry. Nothing in this world is perfect. I later found out he was divorced with a child, a 6-year-old daughter who lived with her mother. His ex-wife came from a business family. They were a good match on paper. He only said they divorced due to irreconcilable differences. Nothing more. If that was all, it would have been fine. Later, I worked as his assistant for 6 months, and my abilities impressed him. I was modest, telling him it was thanks to my time in the finance department during his absence that I had learned so much. Anyone who doesn't understand business management just needs to spend some time in finance, and everything becomes clear. But he still praised me, saying I was a quick learner. I was drunk on his praise. 6 months later, we were officially married. Our families met. No one was overly thrilled, but no one was particularly displeased either. It all seemed to fall into place naturally. His family offered a $3 million dowry, and my family offered $1 million. Everything seemed just right. Leo didn't come to the wedding, but surprisingly, Anna came alone. After Marcus took over the company again, the IPO process was restarted, and there were endless meetings. The wedding invitation to Leo was probably a courtesy from the company's PR department. The wedding was grand and lively. For a long time, all I saw was a blur of people. My head was spinning. I changed from my wedding gown into an evening dress and was resting in a private room. A few friends were bringing me tea and water. That's when Anna approached. Just before she arrived, a distant aunt of mine had left her voice still echoing in the hallway as she scolded her daughter. Look at her. Just kicked a scumbag to the curb and married into a wealthy family. And look at you, letting yourself be bullied like that. Unable to leave. So pathetic. They must have run into each other. Anna's face was pale when she entered, her courage gone. She hesitated at the door. I had no issue with her, so there was no need to chase her away. She found a seat, her eyes not lingering on my jewels like the others. She just said softly, "Congratulations, Isla." I smiled wryly. "When will I be drinking to your happiness? I'll send a gift." Her face stiffened. After a long time, just as I was about to go out and greet guests again, she finally spoke. "Isla, you're doing so well now. You're in a different circle, surrounded by important people." I almost wished she had remained her stubborn, confrontational self. She wouldn't look at me, her voice hesitant. "The company's IPO is very likely to succeed this time. When it does, Leo will sell his shares. I hope Mr. Thorne will be lenient. And I hope you will not stand in his way." She was here to plead Leo's case. She had to curry favor with me, to be diplomatic. For Leo, she had humbled herself completely. I knew that cashing out at a high price after an IPO would not be a smooth ride. I was surprised Leo was still dreaming of it. I didn't need to do anything overtly, so I simply said, "Okay." And to my surprise, Anna looked up at me, astonished. I suddenly thought, even if something good did come Leo's way, she probably wouldn't get to enjoy it. The girl was setting the stage for someone else. I resigned after the wedding, not to be a housewife, but because my opportunity to start my own business had finally arrived. I didn't want to be Marcus's assistant. You can't grow into a tree in the shadow of another. A university classmate, also a Spanish major, was in the copper mining business in South America and needed investors. I was interested. I made a trip there. The chaos was beyond my imagination. Robberies were more common than spitting on the street. Convenience stores had iron bars. And my classmate's apartment had more cameras than light bulbs. A difficult start. But my wealth was growing. Non-ferrous metal trading requires a lot of capital. When there was a shortfall, Marcus would support me with his personal funds. Later, as my import volume increased, I found a primary smelting plant in my home country. The copper plates we produced were even supplied to TS. For the metal smelting industry, a stable source of goods is crucial. My business indirectly supported Marcus's work. 6 months after we were married, I got pregnant. At 4 months, during my mother-in-law's birthday, I met Marcus's daughter with his ex-wife, Lily, for the first time. The little girl was 7, in the 2nd grade. Her big, round eyes kept darting towards my stomach. I'm quite thin, and at that stage, I wasn't showing much. I didn't know what she was looking at, but my sixth sense made my skin crawl. I used the excuse of not feeling well to go rest in a room. The tightness in my chest was a symptom of pregnancy. I found the back door of the house and went outside for some fresh air. I saw a child crouching by a bush, something shiny on her wrist. A children's watch with a call function. She was talking to it. "Mom, I can't find a chance to do it. I really can't. She's always resting, just lying in her room. I'm not afraid Dad will blame me. He's the one who wronged me." I quietly slipped back inside. At the end of the dinner, as we were seeing guests off, I spoke to Lily in front of everyone at the main gate. "You were just on your watch, calling your mom, weren't you? I heard everything, and I recorded it. So stop your plan, or else." Lily's face was filled with fear, the look of a child caught doing something wrong. I knew I had guessed right. Hearing this, Marcus looked at me, stunned. I didn't say more, just turned and walked away. Of course, I hadn't recorded anything, but I figured they wouldn't dare to call my bluff. Exposing them publicly was a warning. Later, Marcus confessed that his ex-wife had a terrible character. She had suspected him of having an affair with his secretary and had hit the woman with her car. This led to their divorce. The secretary survived but was left with a permanent limp. Marcus grabbed my hand, his voice tight with anxiety. "Let's hire a bodyguard." "I'm worried sick." I agreed. Later, his ex-wife added me on a messaging app and opened with, "The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind." "You got lucky," I replied. "I know you're ruthless. Coincidentally, so am I. If you dare to make a move on me, I don't mind taking you down with me. You're insane. Aren't you interested in what happened between Marcus and his secretary? I was interested, but I was more interested in growing my wealth. Marcus had introduced me to a circle where business opportunities were everywhere. I couldn't be bothered with much else. Later, Marcus asked me, "Is there anything else you want to ask?" I felt a slight unease, but shook my head. I have confidence in myself. And I trust you. Marcus pulled me into a hug. I won't let you down. After I gave birth, I started recovery training at the gym, signing up for kickboxing and MMA. Besides a nanny, we also had a bodyguard at home. I wouldn't give anyone the chance to harm me. Marcus looked at me with deep affection. It must be hard for you, marrying a divorced man like me. I'll do my best to make it up to you. I chose this path, for better or worse. His constant reassurances made me a bit flustered, but it was sweet. You are the best compensation. With me, you won't suffer any grievance. His ex-wife never bothered me again, and I remembered that promise for the rest of my life. When my son was just over 2, the company finally went public. The shares were issued at a 12-fold premium, and the net worth of Marcus and the other shareholders skyrocketed. Some people said I sold my shares too early, but my wealth had also grown significantly with the rise of international futures. While we were celebrating our success, trouble was brewing for Leo. Leo's small company had been doing reasonably well. In 3 years, it had grown to a decent size, with assets of around $500,000 or $600,000. Over the past 2 years, several investors had shown interest, but I had secretly thwarted their attempts. He never found out. My score with him was mostly settled. Now, with the company's successful IPO, his net worth also soared. The two combined brought his total to over $2 million. And someone couldn't sit still anymore. Serena came down from the mountain to pick the ripe fruit. She seduced him. And Leo had an affair. Leo and Anna were on a beach date, and he was planning to propose. But Serena called him away. Anna was left to walk back alone. I don't know what happened, but she, who had finally gotten pregnant again, had another miscarriage. I was at a check-up for my second pregnancy when I ran into Anna at the hospital. She was at the payment window in the lobby. When she saw me, she grabbed my hand, her voice urgent. "Isla, can you come see me in the inpatient ward? You can take the elevator from the clinic." She was so humbled that I agreed. When I saw Anna again, I almost didn't recognize her. I was 30, with a baby face, and people said I looked like a college student. Anna was 2 years younger than me but looked 10 years older. Our ages reversed. Our circumstances so different. Anna probably noticed too. The confidence she had at the wedding was gone. Her eyes scanned me up and down. I had a bodyguard with me, radiating an aura of wealth. She blinked. Her head bowed. A moment later, she threw her arms around me and started to cry. "Isla, I was wrong. So wrong. I shouldn't have suffered with that ungrateful man. I regret it so much." Her voice was so sorrowful it could make anyone's heart ache. The bodyguard, not knowing our relationship, stepped in to separate us as part of his duty. She quickly wiped her tears. Regaining some composure, she gave a bitter laugh. A truly bitter one. I said it wasn't stealing if it was abandoned. But it's not so easy to pick up the pieces, is it? When he had no money, he made me suffer with him. Now that he has money, he goes back to his first love. "Isla, I regret it so much." With that, she broke down again. Just then, Leo burst in. The door was open, and Anna's voice was loud. I don't know how much he heard. In front of his ex-girlfriend, he was utterly humiliated. The woman who stayed with him had lost, and the one who left him had won big. He trembled as he approached. Anna grabbed a water glass from the bedside table and threw it at his feet. "Get out. What are you doing here? To laugh at me? Isn't my life miserable enough?" Leo's eyes were red, filled with sorrow and regret, a rare display of genuine emotion. "Anna, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying here with you and the baby." Anna let out a chilling laugh. "Baby? What baby? My child was a sacrifice for your love story. My heart was fed to the dogs. I'm a complete failure. I lived in a basement with you, eating instant noodles every day. I had a miscarriage and still had to work 2 jobs a day. I was a fool. I deserved it. But what about my child?" She pointed at me, her expression manic. "She's smart. She saw it coming and ran. And I, the idiot, was left to endure all the hardship. And I even dared to challenge her. What right did I have? I'm a joke. The bodyguard pulled me further away again. Leo stepped forward and embraced her. His face contorted in pain. It's all my fault. All my fault. Let's get married. Everything will be okay. The sight of Leo made me sick. My morning sickness intensified. I quickly left the scene. After getting in the car, I realized I had something I wanted to say. But Leo had interrupted me. So I sent Anna a message. You can share joys and hardships, but you shouldn't just endure hardships for a man. Depleting yourself to build someone else up is one of the worst kinds of relationships. He rises to success while you stay behind. You wait for him to be grateful. Thinking a person's conscience can't be that bad. You're testing human nature with your own life. A good relationship should be about mutual growth and support. This applies to everything, even young love. Some couples get into good universities together. Others ruin their lives. You can't just be a pacer in someone else's race. You have to stay on your own track. There was more I wanted to say, but I didn't type it out, to avoid leaving a record. At an opportune moment, I called Anna. You need to learn to cut your losses, get what you deserve, and get out. Her voice was hoarse. But I'm in too deep. The sunk costs are too high. But you're only 28. Leo said he'll marry me. What more could I say? Later. And later still. The wedding was postponed indefinitely. It wasn't until my own daughter was born that they finally had a result. An old colleague came to see the baby and told me the news, saying Anna's persistence had finally paid off. She said Serena, the eternal other woman, had finally been defeated. But I knew Serena wasn't defeated. She had strategically retreated. The company had recently implemented a policy. After the 2-year lock-up period for corporate shares, shareholders could not sell them off at will but had to exit in proportion over 20 years. Leo's assets couldn't be liquidated immediately. His dream of getting rich quick had vanished. Although he would be comfortable, he would remain in the upper middle class. After careful consideration, the other woman chose to give up. After all, if Leo's small company went bankrupt again, she would be left holding the bag. That was unacceptable for someone like her. This was where Anna got lucky. Leo wasn't rich enough. This involved confidential company information, so I couldn't tell her. My old colleague, being close to me, spoke freely. I don't think Anna will have a good outcome, even if she marries him after all that suffering. What do you think? Isla. What did I think? A loser certainly has experience and lessons to share. If you're going to suffer together, you have to be equals. If you're in a clearly weaker position, only able to contribute by draining yourself, then just give up. No matter how rich he becomes later, you won't be able to handle the money or the man. Failure is certain. You can't be a pacer. You have to always be on the track, no matter how much people disapproved. They got married. I had to honor my promise. After sending my wedding gift, Anna replied, her tone humble. You're not mad, are you? Isla. Me? Why would I be mad? Anna. I didn't listen to you again. Me? Anna. I don't feel that happy. I just wanted some closure for all my years of effort. Is that just an obsession? Sorry, sweetie. I'm not a life coach or a relationship counselor. There's only so much others can do for you. You have to save yourself. Time flows like water, washing away love and hate, blurring the faces of those around me. When I was 33, I unexpectedly got pregnant with my third child. I thought my husband, at 42, wouldn't be so virile. I was careless. I had worked so hard over the years. This wasn't my only oversight. The day I found out I was pregnant, I received another piece of news. It was from a former colleague at TS. Isla. I resigned. Someone at the company is causing trouble, and I got on their bad side. Marcus has a new siren by his side, his assistant. This bitch can come and go from the CEO's office as she pleases, and many people have to suck up to her. I didn't. So I was sidelined. She's really his favorite. She's turned him into a fool. No wonder Marcus hadn't answered my calls. So that's what was happening. It explained a lot. I sat in the study for a long time, not even noticing when it got dark. I felt like 1,000 arrows had pierced my heart. Building a relationship is not easy, but destroying it only takes a few words. I thought back on my journey with Marcus, and a wave of regret washed over me. Bitterness spread through my limbs, to the tip of my tongue. The study door suddenly opened, revealing Marcus's uncertain face. "What are you doing sitting here?" "Wasn't that an obvious question? Why didn't you tell me you were pregnant?" "I called you, but you didn't answer. So I had to tell your parents first." I slowly pushed myself up from the desk. My head was a little dizzy. I shuffled my feet across the floor. He tried to help me, but I refused. "I'll be careful. If you help me, I'm more likely to fall. You're just too stubborn." I had reached the door. I turned back to him. "I certainly have my flaws. It must have been hard for you all these years." "What are you talking about?" he asked, his expression alarmed and uncertain. As I started down the stairs from the second floor, he, watching from above, suddenly cried out, "You're bleeding." Yes, something was dripping from below. He rushed down the stairs to my side. "Let's go to the hospital. Do you want this child?" I asked with a wry smile. He took a deep breath and looked at me. "Let's go to the hospital first. We can talk about everything else when we get back." I shook my head. "Bleeding during pregnancy is common. It's hard to carry twins to term. We'll leave it to fate." He spoke with a firm tone. "No, you and the children must be fine." I hate it when philanderers pretend to be devoted. Who did he think he was fooling? We ended up going to the hospital anyway. My in-laws were frantic when they found out. The next day, they brought me share transfer documents. A reward. That was actually meant to placate me. Marcus also gave me gifts, including real estate. A lawyer brought a thick stack of documents for me to sign. No one knew how much money I had actually made over the years. If they wanted to give me gifts, I would take them. I had no reason to accept, but no reason to refuse either. The other woman liked to share. Many people at the company were friendly with her, so news about her constantly reached my ears. Hearing that I had received a significant portion of the company's shares, she was so angry she threw her teacup. So she had the privilege of throwing things now. It seemed this marriage was over. Any mother knows what that little embryo in her belly means. With modern medicine, in 6 months, it would likely be a living person. Unless life forces your hand, you should give it a chance to live. With these thoughts, I focused on my pregnancy. I appeared to be oblivious to the outside world, but I was busy behind the scenes. I was trying to move assets overseas, to be moved back after the divorce. No one knew what I was thinking, but Marcus knew my temperament well enough. He reined himself in. He was either at the company or with me. The other woman, Laura, also stopped making public scenes at the company. He was keeping her. She received a series of luxury goods as compensation, but felt it wasn't enough and was furious. She spread the word. "What woman can't have a child?" "Good. I was waiting for you to force my hand." I was looking for an excuse to divorce. I had achieved a higher social status through Marcus. In the eyes of others, I should be eternally grateful for his help. If I caused a scene and demanded a divorce as soon as he found a new love, I would be the unreasonable one. I still had to move in these circles. Some of my business partners were Marcus's good friends. I needed to maintain a reputation of being a virtuous wife. So, the more she acted out, the better. When I was 4 months pregnant, Marcus, thinking I was stable, wanted to take me to a shareholder meeting. I refused. "Leo will be there. I don't want him to see me as a joke." Marcus's expression flickered, but he held his tongue and tried to persuade me. "As a new shareholder, it would be a pity for you not to go." "Fine, I'll go." Before we entered, a young woman stood timidly at the door, dressed lavishly, clearly not a staff member. She glanced at me, then just stared at Marcus without speaking. It must be Laura. She was prettier in person than in photos. With striking looks, she certainly had what it took to be a mistress. Marcus acted as if nothing was wrong and led me inside. The girl behind us couldn't help but call out his name. "Marcus." He didn't turn back. A man in his 40s. Not a reckless young boy. But did the mistress know he was past his prime? I used the excuse of not feeling well to leave early. This tactic worked every time. Not long after, the family gave me another generous gift. As for the mistress, there was no further punishment. They probably wanted me to endure it in silence. Marcus protecting her was also a factor. After 8 years of marriage, even if the love was gone, there was still the bond of husband and wife. His actions chilled my heart and cut off my retreat. When he loved me, his ex-wife, a formidable woman, never dared to bother me. Now that the love was gone, even a mistress could challenge me. I made a plan for myself. In 3 years, if he didn't bring up divorce, I would. In these 3 years, I would slowly transfer my assets. The children needed to be visible to their grandparents to prepare for future inheritance battles. I could provide for them, but what they were entitled to shouldn't be diminished because of me. I had given birth to twins and needed to recover. Raising infants was also incredibly draining. These were the reasons I stayed for now. As I emotionally detached, I found I was becoming adept at handling this relationship. The trials of the business world had forged me into a resilient and decisive person. After all, with the international economic turmoil and political instability, there was enough to keep business people like me on our toes. So when I made a move, it was a killing blow. I first hired people to trash Lara's golden cage, to smash up her home. She moved. I smashed it again. In truth, if a woman wants to push for a divorce, there are plenty of ways. Marcus held me accountable and even threatened to go after my business if I didn't show some restraint. I told him I was earning money for our children, that I wasn't extravagant myself. If he suppressed me, he was disregarding our children. In that case, there was no point in having this family. I took the opportunity to propose a divorce. Marcus fell silent. He didn't agree to a divorce and asked me what it would take to make peace. I told him to get a vasectomy. He thought about it and agreed. My first divorce proposal, a feint, turned a tangible threat into nothing, pushing the enemy back 1,000 miles. When the twins were 2, I helped Marcus find a new mistress. It started when I sponsored a few female university students. From their chatter, I learned about a classmate who looked like a pop star but was a notorious player. I contacted this girl and had her and the students I sponsored intern at the company. With my subtle help, she succeeded. Apparently, Lara had already been suspicious of Marcus's fertility and wanted to do IVF with him. Marcus was hesitant. Now, with the new mistress on the scene, Lara's power had waned. 3 years passed in a flash. The twins were 3. I was 37, and Marcus was 45. Normally, with our age difference, the family would be stable, but with infidelity, it's hard to say. Marcus had a heavy workload and was now running between his home and his various affairs. He was starting to be stretched thin. His health was also a factor. I took the opportunity to propose a divorce again. Marcus still refused. He was enjoying his harem. So I served him a bowl of chicken soup for the soul, learning from Leo's strengths, using clever words. Marcus, Mr. Thorne, I want to ask you, do you remember why we got together in the first place? He nodded, but his eyes were vacant. The women had drained him, and the debauchery had eroded his mind. Our original purpose, he had long forgotten. I pressed on. We got together to make each other happy. The person who can make you happy now is no longer me, and you can only bring me pain. In the long nights, I suffer, tormented by jealousy, resentment, and loneliness. And you, look at you. Do you have any intention of changing? On the contrary, you're straying further and further from me. I'm begging you, for the sake of our past, for the beautiful and passionate times we once had, let me go. Let me fly higher. This marriage will only confuse me and slowly drain the life out of me. If I were to have an affair too, both of us would have abandoned our family responsibilities, which would only corrupt our children's values. I urge you to consider this seriously. Perhaps he still had some feelings for our past. Perhaps he was afraid I would have an affair and ruin the family's reputation. He finally gave in and divorced me. Attacking the heart is the best strategy. If it hadn't worked, I had a backup plan, and a backup for the backup. Fortunately, I didn't have to go to that trouble. The property settlement was satisfactory. It was impossible to get half his fortune. Most of it was in shares, which were his pre-marital assets. Whether the appreciation of those shares after the company went public was considered marital property was debatable, and I had no intention of fighting him over it. Our 4 children were doted on by their grandparents. During the divorce, my in-laws helped me secure some of Marcus's shares, to be given to the children when they came of age. I also received my fair share. The children's custody remained with the Thorne family, but I had the right to live with them until they were adults. A co-parenting arrangement. This made the divorce seem like a formality. A divorce without leaving the home. But the divorce was crucial for me. I was only 37, There are plenty of women having their first child at 35. I was still young. I still had a passion for life. Life is a grand adventure. And having weathered many storms, I was not afraid. Less than 6 months after the divorce, Marcus regretted it. Perhaps without me as his anchor, he was finally free to roam the seas. But instead, he lost his direction. But how could I go back? Later, due to repeated mistakes at work, he was removed from his position as CEO, a man in his late 40s. Without the CEO halo, he didn't have much charm left. The mistresses, seeing no chance of marriage, started looking for an exit strategy. Unhappy with the results, they came back to him, but he refused them. He began to lead a more ascetic life. And I, in the prime of my life, my career flourishing. This is probably the first half of my life. Some say my love life has been rocky, my marriage flawed, my life incomplete. But when you look at the moon, a full moon is a fleeting moment. Most of the time, it's incomplete. You could also see it as on the way to being whole. I never expected to see Anna in such a state. Our last contact was a few years ago when I sent her a wedding gift. Now she had been diagnosed with stomach cancer. I visited her in the hospital. Her face was pale, her smile ghostly. Sorry you have to see me like this, Isla. I can't even sit up. I helped her up. Just focus on getting better. The survival rate for cancer is much higher now. She sighed wistfully. Is it? But I don't want to live anymore. Seeing my frown, she continued. I'm not old, but I can't have children anymore. Serena is 2 years older than you and she's pregnant. Leo is just waiting for me to die. I thought of her sacrifices, her foolishness, and said nothing more. In the cold hospital room, Anna rambled on. Cut your losses. Cut your losses. If only I could do it all over again. I suffered with Leo, ruined my own body, and now he's fine. The love of his life is pregnant with his child. His dream come true. When I die, all our assets will go to them. Did you know, Isla? Serena got divorced. She married a fake rich guy and got nothing. Her family was scammed, invested in stocks, and lost everything. Isla, you're so successful. My little bit of money is nothing to you. But for Serena, it's a lifesaver. You reap what you sow. I had no comment on her affairs. She sighed again. At every critical point in my life, you were there to advise me. Why didn't I listen? I had to hit rock bottom to learn. But the price was too high. With that, she broke down, sobbing. I could only comfort her. My own life isn't perfect. I have no right to be your life coach. I was too arrogant before, and it came back to bite me. In this world, no one is immune. She shook her head, her expression suddenly peaceful, as if she had detached from it all. We both got married and divorced, but I ruined myself. You're different. Whether it was marriage or divorce, it made you better. You have money and success. A true winner in life. Look at you. Only 37. Divorcing at this age. Young, handsome men will be flocking to you. And you have 4 children. So your ex-husband's family wouldn't dare to look down on you. It's so good. Not like me. My life has been a long, empty dream. I held her hand tightly, trying to get her to rally. But she just said, Isla, I need to sue Leo for divorce right away. Get half the assets for my parents' retirement. If I rely on Leo's conscience, I'll end up with nothing. I can't let my parents get into an inheritance dispute. Meeting Leo was the biggest mistake of my life. And I wanted to say, not cutting your losses in time was your biggest mistake. You didn't believe in yourself, in your own agency. Placing your hopes in a man was your biggest failure. And most of their assets were Leo's pre-marital property. No matter how much she fought, she wouldn't get much. Of course, I wouldn't say this to her face. On the way back, my heart was settled. I had dodged Leo, and I had bypassed Marcus. Life isn't a simple S-curve of romantic timing and regrets, but a winding road made of countless S-curves. Fortunately, I have always been spiraling upwards. Never once have I belittled myself. I never, ever expected that Anna, on her deathbed, would take out both Leo and Serena. Whether it was luck or misfortune, they didn't quite die. Anna poisoned Leo, but because the dose was too small, it wasn't fatal. It only caused multiple organ failure, and he would have to live the rest of his life on a ventilator. Serena's head was bludgeoned because Anna lacked the strength. She survived, but her face was severely disfigured. No amount of plastic surgery could fix it. She could star in a horror movie without makeup. For the first time, I felt a certain respect for Anna, and also a sense of sorrow. At the same time, I was shocked by my own foresight. Years ago, after Leo's heroic rescue, when I broke up with him in the hospital room, I had said that Leo had betrayed my trust, and Serena had betrayed his. People who betray others' trust never have good endings, sooner or later. And so, 10 years later, the prophecy was fulfilled.